Good evening. This is Gary Moore, and all of these young people behind me here are teenagers. Each one of them are teenagers. And there have been an awful lot of stories, a lot of headlines in the papers lately about teenagers, but we feel that they do not tell the real story. Tonight we hope to reveal some secrets about them that will give you a more accurate picture of America's teenage population. Now, speaking of pictures, these paintings have a secret of their own. They were painted by a young man who is considered to be the outstanding art student at the New York Art Students League. He is not yet 13 years old. Not yet 13 years old. Here is Mr. Master Daniel Roses. Hi, Dan. Daniel, how old were you when you first started to paint?
Well, I was very young. I always painted when I was young.
Oh, when you were a little fella,
Yeah.
huh? I see. And how long would you say you've been painting actually? Since you were 6 or something?
Yeah, around that area.
Uh-huh. When did you start really going to work on it?
4 years ago when I joined at the Art Students League in New York.
Which of these pictures is your favorite?
Well, I kind of like that one.
You kind of like the one up the top?
Yeah.
That's the one at the panel like best, too. Let's discuss the one just below it. How old were you when you painted this one?
10.
You were
10.
10 years. This is your early period then, huh? I wish we had time to look at these pictures more carefully, Daniel, because they're certainly deserving of it. All we can wish you is luck in the future. Thank you very much. Isn't that a remarkable thing? Now then, here is another teenager. He is 16 years old, and he is one of the finest musicians at the world-famous Juilliard School of Music in New York, and he will play a selection from George Gershwin's Third Piano Prelude. Here is Raymond Jones. Here is a young lady. She is 17 years old, and she is from Riverside, Connecticut. Miss Melinda Plank. Years ago, at the age of 14, Melinda was the youngest American ballerina ever to appear in a leading role in the London Festival Ballet at the Monte Carlo Opera House in Monte Carlo. Thank you again, Melinda. These, my friends, are teenagers. There are more than 16 million of them in the United States. Almost 10 million of them work at either full or at part-time jobs. Each year, they save or spend more than $9 billion. 61% of them go to church regularly, and that figure is increasing every year. 78% of them read books in addition to their regular schoolwork, which is a lot better than we adults do. And each year, 500,000 teenagers get married and take on adult responsibilities. So tonight, we're going to meet some of our country's most important natural resources, teenagers, on this special edition of I've Got a Teenage Secret.
I've Got a Secret, starring Gary Moore.
Thank you, and this time officially good evening, and welcome to this special teenage edition of I've Got a Secret. Now let's meet our teenage panel. First is back from vacation, Bill Cullen. Hi, Bill.
Good, Gary.
And the ever so lovely Jane Meadows. Jane. And while Henry Morgan is off on a week's vacation, we have a young man who should be an expert on teenagers. because he is the star of his own television show on another network, young Mr. Dick Clark. It's nice to have you with us. And finally, that luscious creature, Miss Betsy Palmer. There you are. Now, you all set to play the game?
All ready to go, Gary.
I will be set to play the game as soon as I send a personal message to a man I'm proud to count my friend, Mr. Arthur Godfrey, who came on this show last week at instant's notice to make it possible for me to go home on rather urgent personal business. And, you know, Arthur rarely strays outside of his own rugged schedule, rigged too, and I am tremendously, tremendously grateful. Arthur, if you're watching, thank you so much, my friend. All right, let's have our first contestant, please. Now then, bundle of smiles, will you tell us what your name is and where you're from?
I'm Tommy McClure, San Diego, California.
This is Tommy McClure, and he's from San Diego. How old are you, Tommy?
10.
He's 10 years old. Now, if you whisper your secret to me at the same time, we'll show it to the folks out there. Will you whisper to me? Tommy's secret concerns something that happened to him, and I will tell you that it does involve one of the teenagers seated behind me. And we will start the game with Bill. Welcome home. Let's start with you.
Thank you, Gary, and I'm glad to be back to prove that it hasn't been too long since I've been a teenager. 23 skidoo, Tommy. Guess that went out a little bit. This thing that happened to you, Tommy, was it pleasant?
No.
Unpleasant, definitely?
Yes.
Was anyone injured?
No.
Was anyone's pride injured?
No one's pride was hurt. $20 down and $60 to go, and we go to Jeannie Bird.
Now, Gary, you said that Tommy's secret involved one of the lovely young teenagers up there?
True.
Would it be one of the very pretty young ladies, Tommy?
No.
Tommy, yeah, it would. Wants to know if it was one of the girls back there.
Yes.
Yeah.
One of the pretty girls.
One of the pretty girls. He's not sure at his age that he wants to admit that girls are pretty, you see. Don't press him on it.
Well, now, something occurs to me. San Diego is boat country, right?
Yes.
Well, I see a young lady up there that looks like she has a sailor's uniform on.
She's a mariner.
She's a what?
A mariner, I bet.
A mariner, which is one of the branch of the Girl Scouts. Yes.
Oh my, I am ignorant. Would that be the girl that your secret involves? The girl in the mariner's uniform?
$40 down, $40 to go, and we go to Dick Clark, please.
Tommy, what she did it have anything to do with swimming?
Yes.
Well, he has a tan. I figure he
Yeah,
must have been out in the
those
sun.
San Diego
Did
boys.
you ever grab that girl behind you by the hair?
No.
This wasn't exactly a pleasant thing. Did you by any chance jump into the water when she was in the water?
No.
You sailed together?
No.
$60 down and $20 to go, and we go to Betsy. Betsy
Well,
Palmer.
I'll try just the opposite of what you said, Dick. Did she jump in the water after you?
Yes.
Were you kind of going down a little bit and getting lots of
Yes.
water down your lungs?
That
Do you
is the
suppose she
secret.
life
She
saved
saved
her?
his life.
Congratulations.
At 6 o'clock one morning, this young man, Tommy McClure, who had been on a camping trip, fell 20 feet into an abandoned reservoir. The reservoir was filled with rocks and barbed wire and stagnant water and was pretty messy, I guess, Tommy, huh?
Yes.
And were you scared?
Yes.
Sure you were. What did you do?
I screamed for help.
You screamed for help. Now, two young men heard Tommy scream, and when they came and saw you in the water, what did they do?
Nothing.
Nothing. Sat and watched.
Yeah.
Well, now, a 16-year-old Girl Scout who was also on a camping expedition heard the cry for help. She jumped out of her sleeping bag and she raced to the reservoir. I'm sure you would like to meet this young lady right now. Here is Bonnie Graham. We have phone books on there for some of the smaller youngsters. You certainly don't need that, Bonnie. Now, Bonnie, when you got there to the reservoir, what did you see?
I saw a steep embankment, and in the water was Tommy with just his hand sticking out of the water.
Your head was under the water, Tommy? So what did you do?
I slid down the embankment and went into the water and grabbed Tommy Pan and put him in a cross-chest carry and brought him to the shore.
And then, as I understand it, somebody threw a rope to you, which you looped around Tommy, and they were able to drag him to safety. Is that right?
Yes.
Now then, at the same time, this young lady was not able to be rescued herself. They could not pull her from the water. Will you tell us why they couldn't pull you from the water?
Because, well, it was very cold up in the mountains, and I have my dad's flannel pajamas on, and my pajama bottoms came off.
So for reasons of propriety, they let her stay in the water for a while until they went and got her some clothes, and then they hauled you out, too.
Right.
I know that Tommy is grateful to you. I know that we're all very proud of you, Bonnie. Thank you very much for being with us, indeed. Thanks a lot, Tommy. That makes you feel good, doesn't it? I'll tell you it does. Well, this is a little embarrassing. You see, it has never learned to say yes because it's a girl robot. I would like you to meet the young man who is in love with this young lady because he is her inventor. Here is young Donald Rich. Don? Don, how old are you?
I'm 14.
You are 14 years
That's
old.
right.
Where do you go to school?
The Bronx High School of Science.
And how long were you working on your
Well,
robot?
about a year or so.
It's interesting, I think, to know that Westinghouse and IBM both got so interested in this young man, they gave him a grant which allowed him to finish making his robot. Donald, nice to have you with us.
Thank you,
Congratulations. Right on. Here, I'll tell you, it can make you feel awful dumb. So dumb that I can't find my next card. Hold the phone. I'll be with you in apple blossom time. Talk to each other, will you? Well, I don't seem to have the card I need here. Is it in my pocket?
In your pocket. The pink one.
No, the pink one doesn't come out now.
No?
I'm looking for a white one. Well, I'll tell you what, doesn't make any difference. Yes, it does. Sure it is. I must come to rehearsal sometime and tell me it's I talked to you about the headlines that you have seen in the past about teenagers. Now I would like you to meet some more young people, and each of them will show you a headline that we had printed up. But it is a headline that is absolutely true and will also give you a clue to their secret. And I think that these headlines are more typical of most teenagers than they are of the other teenagers you read about. The first young lady we will call Miss X. Now, Miss X, will you show us your headline, please? Her headline says, Teenager Wins Raves in Broadway Hit. Now, Jane, based on the fact that this young lady co-stars in the play Blue Denim, which is about teenagers, and she has been on the cover of Life magazine, you should be able to figure out her secret because you are indirectly involved in saying.
Well, I think I know who this young lady is, and for that reason I was going to disqualify myself. Could I ask her one question?
Yes.
Did she ever play Steve's daughter in a, is that her secret?
No, that's not her
But
secret.
I did.
But you did,
Yes, I did.
in a TV show.
Yes, I did.
And her secret involved me in some way.
Yes, I didn't know you were involved that way, but there is yet another way.
Does it involve Steve?
No?
Does it involve babies?
No?
All right, take your mask off, will you, Carol? This is Carol Lindley, one of the stars of Blue Denim.
Yes.
And Carol's leading man in this hit play is a young man that played opposite you, Jane, last summer.
In Tea and Sympathy.
That's right, Bert Brinkerhoff.
He's a brilliant actor, that boy.
Well,
Brilliant.
it's borne out because, incidentally, everyone in the play received fine reviews, but Carol and Bert were singled out by the critics for their particularly brilliant performances. And, Carol, we're particularly appreciative of the fact that you came over tonight because she is between curtains on her own show. And I know you must get back. They're holding the curtain for you. We have a car waiting. Go with our blessing and thanks. Good to see you. Now, this next young man, who is 19 years old, also has a secret. For the time being, we will call him Mr. X. As a clue to his secret, we will look at this headline. Headline says, Teenager Named Player of the Year. Bill Cullen, you should be able to give us this young man's name and the sport in which he is involved.
Boy, I should, but I've drawn. Oh, I got a chance to question.
Yes?
Is it an indoor sport, sir?
Yes, it is.
Basketball?
Yes.
Professional?
How did you guess it was basketball?
Well, I know Gary. I can tell about his height, but I know for a fact that you're 6'2", and he's a good 6 inches taller than you are. You professional basketball, sir?
No, it's college.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, college basketball. Are you a senior?
No, I'm a sophomore.
You're doing great.
Sophomore. Give me one more question. Was there something in the paper about you today that you might consider? You're probably going to be number 1 or number 2 draft pick. Is that right so far?
No.
No?
That could be, but that's not his secret. This is Oscar Robertson of the University of Cincinnati. He has been named to every All-American basketball team, including Sports Illustrated All-Star selection, and United Press has picked him as Player of the Year. Oscar, it's a great pleasure to meet you. Continued good luck in the future. Thank you. Now, charming young miss, would you tell us what your name is, please, and where you're from?
Mary Sevlin from St. Louis Park, Minnesota.
Mary Sevlin, and she is from Minnesota. Now, we're going to skip Dick Clark for just a moment. We'll get back to you, Dick. Will you show us your headline, please? Headline says, Teenager's Hobby Wins $1,000 Prize. So, Betsy Palmer, would you care to venture a guess as to what this prize was for or about?
Oh, the hobby. Hobbies are things you collect. Is this something small?
Well, no, you're
Am I up on
assuming,
the wrong
you're assuming that
tangent?
it's something you collect. That's not
Yes.
necessarily true of a
Hobby. Oh, well, could your hobby be, does it have to do with other people?
No,
No, does it have to do with animals?
no.
Does it have to do with, gardening? Oh, my. I'm not...
Buzzer, do you think you know,
Can I
Jane?
take a whack at it?
Yes.
Did you make the dress you have on?
Yes, I did.
Yes, you did.
Did she win the singer? There's a big, you know the way I know, there's a big award every year given by, I think it's the Singer Sewing Machine. Is it $1,000 for the girl that sews the best?
That's
Is
right.
that it?
That's exactly it. She won the Singer Sewing Machine Award this year. And how many other youngsters were involved in this contest?
54,000.
54,000 youngsters. I think you deserve the prize. It's a lovely dress. Thank you ever so much. Good to see you. Nice to have you with us. Again, we're going to call this young gentleman Mr. X. Will you tell us how old you are and where you're from?
I'm 15, I'm from Brooklyn.
He is 15 years old and he is from Brooklyn. All right? Will you show your headline to camera 3 and to Dick Clark, because we'll make him go to work on you. It says, Teenager's Strategy Defeats All Comers.
This strategy, did it involve finances?
No,
Did you have any help?
no.
Did it all by yourself? Did it make people happy?
Made me happy.
That's a good start. Good start. Did what you do have its effect indoors?
Yes.
Did it have?
All right, Dick, we've gone down the drain. This young man's name is Bobby Fischer. He is 15 years old. And listen to this. Already, he is the United States chess champion. And I don't mean teenage champion, youngsters champion. He has defeated the masters. He is the top ranking of the United States champion in chess. And I just think it's fantastic. How long have you been playing?
I learned it when I was 6.
When you were 6. But you've been playing seriously only since when? The last
9. It's about 9.
from 9 on. Now come the pink cards, because this is a surprise to everybody, including Bobby. All of us have been reading about you, Bobby, of course. Especially about your invitation to go to Russia and to Yugoslavia to compete against the greatest chess champions from all over the world in the international tournament this summer. Isn't that right?
That's right.
Now, the only thing that has been keeping this young man from accepting this invitation to the international tournament is the lack of money for transportation. And that's understandable. I think it would be a shame, we think it would be a shame for an American to have to lose by default. So here for you, Bobby, are 2 round-trip tickets for you and your older sister to accompany you aboard Sabina Airlines to Moscow. for you to carry your chessmen in or whatever you carry in it. And I want to thank Sabina, by the way, for their marvelous cooperation and the last-minute arrangements for this young man. Good luck to you, Bobby. We'll be rooting for you over there in Yugoslavia and in Russia, and we hope that when you come back, we hope you will come back the champion, but whether you do or not, I hope that you'll drop back in on I've Got a Secret again and tell us about your adventures. Will you do that? Well, now, in just a moment... Oh, by the way, I would like to stop right here and tell you that this little music that you have been hearing was written especially for our show. It is called The Teenagers' March and was written by Norman Paris down here in the pit. Now, panel, again, the gentleman next to me is known as Mr. X for the purposes of our show tonight. Will you whisper your secret to me, sir? Tell me more about that. Well, now, we were going to turn this young man over to the whole panel, but I think I'll concentrate on Dick Clark. It's more in his department. Dick, blindfold or not, do you recognize this young man?
Yes, sir.
Will you tell us what his name is?
I think it must be Paul Anka.
Paul, take your blindfold off. Panel, this young man, who is 16 years old, has written and recorded 2 songs, each of which have sold over 1 million records each at the age of 16. Now, his first hit record was called Diana. His latest is You Are My Destiny, both on the ABC Paramount label. Am I right?
That's right.
And it is certainly an achievement in itself to compose and write the words for a song that, that goes for 1 million. But Paul has a singing voice to boot, and it was singing of these songs that made him a hit. We're going to ask him now to sing, well, Crazy Love is one side of your new record, right?
That's right.
Crazy Love. But tonight I think we ought to hear the other side. Here is Paul Anka, and he's going to sing his own composition, his new recording, Let the Bells Keep Ringing.
Well, there once was a boy from the town of Napoli who sang a song so very soft and tenderly. He met a little girl with a flower in her hair. So he sang a song, and now they're such a happy pair. Oh, let the bells keep ringing, let them ring out with joy. Let them send their love, yes, for every girl and boy. Oh, let the bells keep ringing, let them ring out with joy. Let them send out their happy love. Happy love. Well, this boy and girl took a walk one day down to the sands near a moonlit bay. They talked and they talked till there was love light in their eyes. Then they kissed until the morning sun did rise. Oh, let the bells keep ringing, let them ring out with joy. Let them send their love in for every girl and boy. Oh, let those bells keep ringing, let them ring out with joy. Let them ring out with happy love. Happy love. The story of my life, and that little girl, oh yes, she is my loving wife. And our little house where we now stay sits in the middle of our little moonlit bay. Oh, let the bells keep ringing, let them ring out the joy. Let them send their love, yes, for every girl and boy. Oh, let the bells keep ringing, let them ring out with joy. Let them ring out with happy love. Happy love, happy love, one more, happy love.
Paul has been accorded the singular honor of being asked to sing this weekend at the Cherry Blossom Festival this weekend in Washington. Last year, Sinatra was the man who was invited. Dick Clark, a million thanks. We love you dearly. See you next week. Goodbye.
This This has been a Mark Goodson, Bill Cotman production. Miss Meadows gowned by Sorrell. Portions of tonight's program were pre-recorded. This is John Cannon speaking.